decided to pursue a career in law because it gives me an opportunity to help people. When a client chooses us to represent them, they're entrusting us with a huge responsibility. It's our goal to exceed their expectations with our personalized service and to help them to achieve the best possible recovery to compensate them for their injuries.
That's where we come in. We come in and we solve that problem for them and really set them on the right track in order to try and get back to what their life was like before the accident happened.
Hey, what are all y'all doing here? So yeah, what's up, everybody? What's up, Bonehead? Oh shit, everybody. Okay, first folks is coming through. See Vernon, that's Bolo, Slow Burn Ritual, KDP, right? Little kickstands down action. What's up, Boneheads? Hey, look. So to get things started off right, hey, while you join us, and we definitely love and appreciate y'all being here. Definitely hit the like button. Because you're gonna like the shit we talking about. You're gonna like this shit. But anyway, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the all them buttons. There's all kinds of buttons. Hit them buttons. But anyway, welcome y'all to motherfucking. That's me pushing the button. Hey, but seriously, welcome to the Big BoneYard, y'all. It's been about 7 days since the last time we did this thing, and I'm glad y'all are back. First of all, you got myself, Big Bone 1%er, and my man Tate from A-Bait. It's A-Bait Tate from A-Bait. Tate, what's up, man?
Same old shit, just a different day.
Right on. Okay. Yeah, man. Shit. So, because I'm nosy, I really got to know. And I always ask this question, but, and for weekends for us is, a little different because a lot of times folks on the weekends, they get to kick their feet up and relax and, drink a beer and watch The Simpsons or whatever it is that, citizens do. But with us, man, we're pounding the ground. We're out there doing shit. It's actually a surprise when we get to say nothing, right? But I know that ain't the case with you. How was your weekend, man? What did you do?
Well, I was actually down in your neck of the woods. I took the wife to I don't want to give out where you are because stalkers and shit, but an undisclosed park in the state of Florida. She don't do a lot of rides, so we went and walked around, seen the sights, did a few things.
Did that on purpose?
Yeah.
Okay, right on.
Hey,
did you feel safe?
Oh yeah. I knew if shit popped off, you was a phone call away.
That part. Hell yeah.
And I had a real good friend, mutual friend of ours, liked the fact that I was there, so I knew she had my back, whether or not I could get a hold of you or not. I could hit her up on Facebook.
Right on. That's what's up.
Went and hit the park, hung out in that area for a little bit. Came back Saturday night. Had my chapter meeting today. Went for a little ride.
Yeah.
Somebody told me an hour ago, we'll be on in 30 minutes, so I hauled ass home.
Oh yeah, there was
that kind of shit.
Right.
How was your weekend?
Man, hey, you know what? I got to tell you, surprisingly pretty good. I pounded a little something, but I was semi-domesticated this weekend. I finished. I had more of the security situations, like the cameras and all that old high-tech shit. So I got more of that stuff done. Actually got some family stuff done. I did a little, business on the set, but it wasn't like it was the kind of shit that took me,
all weekend,
5 hours here, 8 hours there, and this, that, another thing. Definitely jumped on Anubis for a little bit, but it was nothing all that major. So this was one of those few that I was kind of referring to a little while ago, that where I wasn't pounding the ground doing 1,000 miles because it was Saturday or something. Yeah, it's been all right. It's been all right, man.
And that's saying a lot for us during this week, this week period, because Thursday started bike week.
Yeah.
And it goes until next Sunday.
Right.
So for us to be able to say we had a relaxed weekend during bike week is saying a lot.
Oh, yeah. And see, look, and so I already know, and anybody and their mother that's, anywhere within a day ride from Florida, your ass is on your way. Either you're already here or you're on your way here by next weekend. But yeah, so next weekend, I'll definitely be in Daytona next weekend doing all the miscellaneous Daytona shit and all of that kind of stuff. That if you got that patch on your back, you're gonna be doing some. You're gonna be in your ass gonna be in Daytona if you're anywhere near this motherfucker.
Are you gonna be down there all weekend?
I don't know that I'm allowed to say that, but I'll be there. I'll be there. But so I'll be in Daytona. One of them kind of things.
Okay.
But I'm going to be there though. But either way, because see, I know you're not that far from Daytona, really.
About an hour.
Yeah. So yeah, that ain't bad. So long story short, I'm going to fuck with you anyway. I'm going to see you in Daytona. I'll put it like that. I'll definitely see you in Daytona. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We gonna get it in.
If I don't know where you're at, I'll just pick up the phone and be like, yo, I'm in the area.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Matter of fact, I'm going to try to get you where we are because that shit's going to be live as a motherfucker. It's definitely going to be some good shit going on. But hey, so anybody watching, if y'all got anything on your mind, any questions, observations, any of that, don't be shy. Y'all share that shit. Hit us up in the comments, or you can call us on the phone because the phone number is, the call in live is 310-870-8994. Matter of fact, let me make sure this bad boy is plugged up, turned on, and all that kind of good shit.
Yeah, hell, the other week you fucking put the number out there and the phone started ringing right away. And I was like, damn.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, matter of fact, let me make sure that motherfucker's turned on. What is this thing? Oh, yeah, there it is. Boom. Okay, yeah, so we got some. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, matter of fact, let me make sure that motherfucker's turned on. Look at that. Okay. What is this thing? Oh yeah. There. Oh wow, that's reverb. That's wild. Yeah, so we got. Hold on, let me fix that shit. Yeah, that's yeah. Matter of fact, make sure that motherfucker. Oh wow.
Damn.
I think I killed it. That's some of that high technology shit right there. But anyway, I'll tell. Oh, let me do the that disclaimer thing. So here's what's going on, y'all. Y'all know every week we talk about all kinds of different things. We're gonna touch. But anyway. Wait, are you calling me? Let me do the.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure it worked. For some reason, when I call, it starts playing backwards.
Yeah, no, it's working. That's wild. But anyway, so here's the thing. So we're going to talk about a lot of different things, but what we're talking about are our opinions only. My opinion, Tate's opinion, does not reflect the opinions of our respective organizations. So we wanted to make that part clear. That is what we call the disclaimer. So we're talking about us. Tate can actually talk about ABAIT related things. Because he's actually authorized to do so. But anyway, let me shut the fuck up about that and get on with what we're going to be talking about on this show. So if y'all, and SNS Contracting said, hit that like button, y'all. So definitely hit the like button. So here's what's going on. And we actually started a little earlier than we have been starting. And we're trying to get back in the groove. If y'all remember, for those of y'all that's been riding with us from day one, we used to start this show at 7 p.m. And then it went to 8 and then 9 and then sometimes even later than that. So this year in 2024, we're going to try to get conditioned to start the show much earlier, like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, like that. But in the meantime, so tonight's show, it was billed as the biggest, the baddest, and the oldest MCs. MCs means motorcycle clubs. For those of y'all that are just now joining us, been living under a rock or whatever. But the biggest, the baddest, the oldest MCs. Where the hell did they come from? Because, because a lot of folks just, if you're of a certain age, well, they've always been here. And some folks don't really give a fuck. But other folks are like, man, these guys are, they're doing this and they're calling shots and they're huge. And I've been to 8 different states. And every time I go to a place, them motherfuckers are already there before I got there. And they've been there for 50 years. Where the fuck did they come from? And what's that all about? So we're going to delve into that a little bit tonight. So the description of tonight's show kind of read like this. So in 1967, a photojournalist and writer by the name of Danny Lyon made a really cool photo book about the Outlaws MC. Now, back then, kind of like now, the public was fascinated with the biker culture. So needless to say, the 60s and 70s were overrun with a bunch of cheesy, what I call Bikesploitation movies, kind of like a spinoff of the Blaxploitation. But anyway, so 60s and 70s were overrun with these cheesy Bikesploitation movies. And those movies glamorized the BS version of what motorcycle clubs really were and what they really are. So flash forward to now, there's a new movie coming out called The BikeRiders. The BikeRiders. I don't know if you've seen the trailer.
I've seen that.
Seen the trailer for it. Google it. It looks like it's some real cool. There's some real old school, kind of puts you in the mind of some of those 70s type movies, but with today's technology as far as shooting the movie. Anyway, but this movie is about a fictitious MC called the Vandals. It's set in the 1960s, and it follows the rise of a fictional Chicago MC, seen through the lives of its members. The club evolves over the course of a decade from a gathering spot for local outsiders, no pun intended, or no similarity, whatever, a gathering of local outcasts and outsiders, into a more sinister bunch of guys threatening the original group's unique way of life. So all this book and movie stuff might get you wondering, what is the real story? Like, how and why did motorcycle clubs get started? And the good news, of course, is that we're going to go get into all of that, all those questions and a lot more of that stuff tonight on the Big BoneYard. So if you rode on over here to hang out with us, hang out for a while. We're gonna chop it up a little something and talk about this shit. So there you go. But yeah, man. So motorcycle clubs, and see, there's a lot of different groups. There's clubs. There's groups like ABATE. There's MROs, motorcycle ministries. But the thing is, they all had to come from somewhere. And so we were just kind of like going down the list. Hey, Chemo, what up, though? Motherfucking Chemo, what's up, man? But yeah, it's so all of these clubs did come from somewhere, and like one of them that comes to mind, I want to say, like, who was that? Grub. Let me see. I might even have to Google that shit. Grub started. Was it the Warlocks or was it? Yeah, Grub started the Warlocks, I think, right? Matter of fact, I think you did some homework. Give me the names of some of the clubs that you looked into, and I'll tell you what I know about those clubs as we go on. And of course, if y'all are watching and y'all know something about a certain somebody, give us a shout and post it in the comments, and we'll see what's what.
All right. Well, first off, I want to remind everybody that what you see on TV and what you look up online, you cannot go by, because history is written by the winner. And most of these people wound up one of two places by the time it was all said and done.
Yeah.
Whether they did something or not, which made them the loser in the end game. Mm-hmm. Motorcycle clubs, as far as today's society goes, will always be the loser because they will always put out the worst image possible as far as the media goes. But that being said, we all know that that's not the case. We're going to start. Let's start with one everybody recognizes, the Outlaws.
Okay. All right. So speaking of which, now that's kind of interesting though, because with them, there's been some dispute, first of all, about what year they got started. I heard 1943, I've heard 1945, but it was 1940 something. And then somebody else said 1957, according to Lou Dobkin. No, I'm sorry. That's the wrong thing. I want to say with OLs, well, when do you have them starting as a motorcycle club? Okay. Free Big Bird says 1935. 1935. Okay. But in the meantime, so I'll tell you what I understand about that club. I want to say, so if the year's 1935, they were, and originally, Chemo said they were originally called the Joliet Outlaws. That's correct. Because they were actually, no, it wasn't Joliet. It was McCook. They were called the McCook Outlaws.
1935.
Okay, right. And they were called
Illinois.
Right, McCook. They were called the McCook Outlaws, and that's when they got started. And that's a long time ago. First of all, just to state the damn obvious on it. So a long time ago, and my understanding from talking to a number of these cats is that on day one, this was a place where some guys who had similar like interests, they all shared the love of the motorcycle, the open road, wanted to be left the fuck alone and deal with like-minded people who moved like they did, talk like they did, and that whole thing. And flash forward a whole lot of years later, the Outlaw is one of the biggest clubs of its kind in the world, right? And hell of some solid motherfuckers. Some of the guys I know, absolutely solid motherfuckers. They've been through all of the stuff. There've been all these movies made about them. In fact, you can go back throughout history, the MC history, and hear some really interesting things about stuff that they had to overcome to continue to be a club, because they started off with just a group of guys in Illinois, and now they're all over the damn country. So, hats off to the Outlaws out there. It's any club that can stand the test of time. At some point, I don't care who you are, you got to be doing something right. And because it is 2024. So what's that? In another 11 years, they'll be 100 years old. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, that is crazy. And honestly, the goals from what I've seen, the ideals that they were founded on, just leave us the fuck alone and let us do our own shit, is the same ideals 89 years later, that they're still, just leave us the fuck alone. You leave us alone, we'll leave you alone. We can do our own thing. You do your own thing. We're gravy.
Yeah. I've said a lot of times that that the true, if you want to find, I say it like this. I say the last vestige of true Americans, if you want to see what it looks like, find your local motorcycle club, because that local motorcycle clubs, we believe in freedom and the freedom to be left the fuck alone and to do what we do. That's like kind of our thing, and I think that a lot of times people go, oh, you outlaws, or not the club outlaws, but outlaw bikers. You guys have your own way of thinking, and y'all don't follow the law because you're outlaws. That's not what it means. It means that we believe in what we believe in. We have a code, we have bylaws, we have stuff that we believe in, and we follow that, and we treasure that more so than what the laws of a state or a nation might be. It doesn't mean that we don't follow those rules or those laws. It means that we just believe that our laws apply to us more accurately, if that's, for lack of a better way to put it. Because a lot of shit that's legal is not necessarily moral, and it ain't the kind of stuff that people agree with. Slavery was legal as hell for like 400 years.
Oh yeah.
Make it right, and anybody who pushed back against it, on my Facebook page, I have this quote that says, it's from Nelson Mandela, and basically it says that that the man that is denied the right to live the life that he chooses for himself has no choice other than to become an outlaw. And that was Nelson Mandela, but. So I believe Jesus was an outlaw. Some of us have seen that thing with Jesus was a 1%er, because what did he do? He hung out in bars with prostitutes and thieves. And he believed what he believed, and he would grab them at the end of the night and tell them, hey, I love you, brother. Does that sound like a bunch of clubhouses you've been in?
Well, and not to dive into religion, but a lot of people will tell you, well, you need to act more Christian-like. Okay. I hang out with bikers. I live in bars. How much more Christian can I get? Hell, all Jesus was drinking was friggin' wine.
That's it. I'm with you. Somebody posted Punisher's LEMC. That's a different thing. I'll not get started there, because we're talking about motorcycle clubs. I have I'll be honest, I have an issue with certain LEMCs. Either you're an MC or you're not. And I don't want to go down that damn rabbit hole. And there's a lot of guys that are in these cop clubs. And what I've seen with my own two eyes. I'll tell you about that. And then we'll go back to the subject of the show. So with the cop clubs, it's kind of like this. And what I've seen is this. I've seen some shit kick off, and as things were going south, or as things got like real crazy, when the cops who were working that day start showing up, then these so-called bikers start pulling out their badges and their cell phones, and they're identifying, I'm officer so-and-so from such and such, and whatever you think happened here, no, it's them, and help me effect an arrest. I'm like, what the hell? I've seen that with my own two eyes. So I'm you're going to be a biker and live by the biker code, and like how we believe in, there's bylaws and there's protocol, there's traditions and standards that are on the set, which you throw out the window the second that you don't want to go to jail, or you don't want to follow the rules of the set. I have a problem with that. I definitely have a problem with that. So There's some police agencies where the police chief or the sheriff for certain agencies will not allow their officers to be a member of such a club because they already know what the same shit that I just said, you know?
Yeah. And they don't want to be caught in the middle of the controversy either. Oh,
yeah.
Well, your officer was out starting shit and then decided to throw a badge. No, nobody's boss wants to deal with that shit.
Right. And, and I understand that. I'm like, if you're a cop, be a cop. If you're not, then don't. But you can't have it both ways. I know. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'll say it this way. If you're a cop, you enjoy two wheels, you want a brotherhood of some kind, don't try to be a clubber. A-Bait is more than open for you, and you'll have people you can ride with. You ain't got to delve into the bullshit. If we're going to a clubhouse, and I can only speak for my chapter, but if we're going to a clubhouse and you don't feel comfortable, or you personally, because of your job, don't want to go, everything's volunteer. You don't have to go.
Right.
And that keeps you out of the mix, and it keeps you from looking bad just because the people you're hanging out with may be doing something you're not necessarily doing.
Right. Somebody asked me about a month ago. We were at OCC, Orange County Choppers. The guy from American Chopper has a great restaurant and museum in Clearwater. So it's a big biker spot, obviously. They have concerts there, the whole thing. So shout out to damn Big Paul and Bert from Bert's Barracuda Harley Davidson, which is right next door. They're partners in that deal. But anyway, so somebody asked me about a month ago. They said, "Oh, who's that?" I said, "Oh, well, that's such and such a cop club." "Well, who's that?" "That's a such and such a cop club." And they said to me, "Man, I never see them. I didn't know who the hell they were." I said, "Well, you'll only see them at like Harley or at OCC, something like that. You're not going to see them in anybody's clubhouse. You're never going to see them at somebody's event." "Why not?" "Well, they're not welcome there. They only interact with each other. And sometimes this one club and that club over there don't even get along, and they're both cop clubs, but for some reason, since they're playing biker, they feel like they have to have a rivalry or something. But they're not on the set. They'll show up, they'll have wives and girlfriends with them and all that kind of stuff and hang out, and they'll eat a couple of cheeseburgers or something and then go ride to somebody's garage and thump on their chest while they're wearing these vests. But what you won't see one of them riding by themselves, and you don't see them anywhere other than just that.
Or their clubhouse.
Right. When they have one. I mean, I know a couple of these guys actually have clubhouses. A bunch of them just meet at the squad room at the police station, I guess, or maybe it's in some
with donuts.
But that's not what an actual club is. So their experience on the set is not having an experience on the set.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I can't throw clubs like that into this conversation. It's not really applicable, because and I'll be the first one to admit I'm biased about that subject. I'm not biased about a lot of things, but that's one of them. So, but I digress. Nothing against those guys if they do what they do. I will tell you one issue that I have. I'll see these guys from these cop clubs, and they will throw a bottom rocker on that says Florida or whichever state it is. They'll slap a bottom rocker on there that says Florida. Other clubs have to go through a process by which to do that. I've seen cop clubs put a whole ass diamond on there, and I know that's not the way it ordinarily works. No. In some states, this has been an issue. In some states, it's not, because they could put a damn Daffy Duck on their vest and call themselves the Daffy Duck Riders. Nobody would say a thing, because as long as it says LEMC, that means, okay, well, you're not a part of the set anyway. And it's unfortunate, because I'm not saying, and here's the crazy shit, all of the guys in those LEMCs are not all cops.
Mm-mm.
So if that guy was to join a completely different club, everything, his experience would be extremely different.
Oh yeah.
But the second he's in, because he's associated with that club, then he's to a great degree alienated. And I've seen guys who left the LEMC and tried to join another club, and they were like, "Hey, well, where were you before?" "I was with such and such a cop club." They're like, "Okay, pump your brakes. keep it moving. We don't want to deal with you. Why? Well, I'm not a cop. You were in a cop club, so we don't want to fuck with you. And that's not to say that there's not a place for them out there, because like you mentioned, a cop can join a ABATE chapter if the chapter allows it. They can do that. They can become a part of an MRO, MRF, or any of that kind of stuff. But those aren't clubs. Those are organizations. So it's a different kind of a feel to it. Somebody said, okay, hold on. Let's see. Somebody said something. Let me see what they say. So it's not that we don't. Okay, SNS Contracting says it's not that we don't believe in law or laws, but we believe in true law. You have lawful and unlawful, then you have legal and illegal, two totally different things. So yeah, because just because a law is, yeah, I mean, some stuff is moral, some stuff is immoral. Like in the military, we did not have to follow a order that was a immoral or illegal order. Like if someone told you, hey, go chop off that civilian's head because that civilian is standing there doing absolutely nothing, but the XO doesn't like the person because of the color of their skin or whatever. Well, that's an illegal order. That's the person's non-combatant. So you don't have to follow that order. Now, I'm speaking, I'm giving a real extreme example, but so it's the same exact thing. So it's not so much that we pick and choose. It's just that some shit is stupid and immoral and we ain't going to follow it. And there's more to the story than that. I'm just giving you a little super quick snapshot version of it. So Amber Whiskey RGS said, all I know, Ellie will follow us down McMullen Booth on a Thursday night. Okay. There you go.
Ellie.
Oh, no Ellie. Okay. Oh, no Ellie. Okay. All I know is no Ellie will follow us down McMullen Booth on a Thursday night. Okay.
They won't, because when they get behind you, the first thing they see is Ellie MC, and that is their code for I'm one of you, leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's what happened. So Vernon Powell, Daffy Duck Riders. Let's see here. Hey, Iron Horse, what's up, Iron Horse? Amber Whiskey's preach. All right, that's what's up. Oh, by the way, if y'all watching, hit the like button, share, let some folks know that we up here talking shit about LEMCs, which we're not. We're not. I was just giving my little opinion there. And Brian McCullough, keep watching, man. I know, this might not be your favorite thing to talk about, but it's what it is. But yeah, but anyway, so a lot of these different clubs, a lot of these clubs have been around forever and ever and ever and ever. So you talk about let's see, there's Sin City. That's a club that's been around for a long time.
I was fixing to bring that one up.
Okay, tell me about those guys.
Well, no, I don't know much about those guys. Okay, I've heard a few things, but everything I've heard is, once again, been negative. Let me see what I can find.
Well, what year did they get started?
69.
I actually knew that. That was it. I literally knew that.
But, I knew that by looking up another club I'm kind of friendly with.
I think they were out of Indianapolis, right?
No, close.
Where was it?
Gary.
Okay, I knew it was somewhere up that way. So Gary, Indiana. Okay, so that's where they started from, and they started at a time and a place in which, like several, as far as the black.
Oh, I was wrong. It's not 69.
What is it?
66.
Really? I swear I thought it was 69. No, never mind. I'm thinking wrong club. Okay, so 66. I don't believe it. I think it was something different. But anyway, I digress. But so 66 is when they started. But I know where they started was they started in a time and a place, whereas having a good tan, trying to be in a motorcycle club, that was a challenge. That was a chore. And then you flash forward, they're still here, and which always begs the question. Which over the next few weeks, we're going to have some guests on here from some different clubs to kind of delve into that stuff a little bit. Not talk about all the business, but some of the history that they can talk about. We'll get into that a little something.
Here's a question for you. Mm-hmm. Maryland and DC are considered two different places?
Yes, DC, Washington, D.C. is actually not a state. It's considered the District of Columbia, which is our nation's capital. But when you talk about this, so a lot of people refer to that part of the country as the DMV, not DMZ, like demilitarized zone, but DMV, like Delaware, Maryland, Virginia. So that's that mid-Atlantic region. So out of that area, there's a few different clubs that popped up. I mean, you got I want to say the Warlocks came from out of that area. You got
well, actually,
the
have you
Pagans
ever
from Philly, but also Thunderguard.
have you ever looked up the history of the Warlocks? Honestly,
Was their guy Grubb? Was that the guy that started the Warlocks?
I'm not sure. I'm looking it up right now, but I've read before that there is a huge debate on what chapter of the Warlocks opened first. Was it started up north or was it started in Florida? Because there were two different, from what I've read so far, and I've been reading this shit for years. There was two different Warlocks clubs with two different back pieces, both on the same set, but in two different parts of the country.
See, that's a great question because I've heard that before. Usually what I hear as it relates to the Warlocks, I hear that they actually started in, let me see if I got it right. I want to say they started in, not in DC, but somewhere in that mid-Atlantic region. But I also understand that the Pagans came from that part of the country as well. But
so
I know now Pagans, their deal was for the longest time, they only wore north or south. Didn't matter what state it was. Either you were from up north or you were from down south. I want to say the Warlocks were in, well, the Pagans were in Philadelphia, so they might have started in Philly. The Pagans might have started in Philly, but the Warlocks, I want to say, started somewhere in the Virginia, Maryland, DC area, like somewhere in that mid-Atlantic area.
So what I got here is, if you look up Warlocks, there's two different answers for Warlocks Motorcycle Club.
Okay.
With two different origins. You have Warlocks Motorcycle Club with Florida as an origin, and that was the one that Grubb started.
Okay, Grubb started Florida.
And then you have Warlocks Motorcycle Club Pennsylvania origin, mainly Philadelphia. So that's one of those clubs that it's like, where did it start? And see, which one was really the first one?
See, my confusion comes like this, because like when I was a kid, I lived in Philadelphia, and the clubs that were around back then was, let's see, there were Wheels of Soul, there was Pagans, of course, there were Warlocks, there was another club called the Breed. The Breed, I think they're still around. The Breed was only in actually not even Philadelphia proper. They were in a town called Bristol, which is sort of like a suburb of Philadelphia, but they were in Bristol. And that's the only place they was, and nobody else. It was sort of like what's some guys like Galloping Goose had that 100-mile thing. Like no other clubs were allowed within 100 miles of where they were, type of thing back in the day. Well, the Breed was sort of the same thing. They were the only game in town, and they did that, and they did it real well. I don't give a fuck who you was. It was going to be some issues, and it stayed that way for a long time. Now they have more than one chapter, but I know a lot of the clubs from up north were kind of moving like that. But Philly was interesting because, you had a few different clubs that were going all at the same time. And they all had their, hey, here's our part of town, there's your part of town. And, they stuck to that pretty well for a number of decades. And then, life moves on, clubs grow and all that kind of stuff. So you're saying, with Warlocks, you're saying a couple of different spots are listed. I've heard Florida for sure. That's why I kept mentioning Grubb, because I remember back in the day he was the dude, but Grubb was from Florida. And so there's that. Okay, Chemo says Philadelphia 1967. Chemo, who's Philadelphia 1967?
Warlocks, but they were also founded in Orlando, Florida in 1967. Their original state headquarters was Jacksonville Beach.
Okay.
The headquarters mother chapter has stayed in Orlando and is still in Orlando from what I'm looking at right here.
Okay.
Ironically enough, Grubb only died 6 years ago, 2019.
Yep.
Dang.
Now, what about what you call it? Freebird is saying Elizabeth City. Elizabeth City is North Carolina, but or if that's the one you're talking about, which club are you talking about, Freebird, when you say Elizabeth City? So we'll see in a second. So hit us up. Let us know what you're talking about. Free bird. But yeah, hey, Scarbox Skinny. Oh, Chemo says he's talking about the Warlocks. Okay. Cigar Box Skinny, what's up, man? But yeah, and what's this? What's he saying? Plead the fifth. Right on, right on. But yeah, so anyway, so a lot of these clubs, okay, some of the big ones, HAs, Hell's Angels.
Oh
so
yeah.
I know they started. Now they're old as fuck. They came about after, I want to say, after the Second World War. In California, I think was their first chapters, and their name, and I'm just top of my head type shit. Their name was taken from a squadron, like a fighter squadron called the Hells Angels, that was during the Second World War.
That's what I've read.
Yeah, and then of course we know they've had some iconic figures. There've been some iconic figures in this whole biker thing that we do. There's like, of course there was Taco Bowman, who held it down. Yeah, Taco Bowman was from the Outlaws. He passed away a bit ago at a massive funeral. So folks from all over the country and all over the world attended. Sonny Barger, one of the early presidents of the Hells Angels, really prolific individual. Shit, he was even on. He was actually on a few different episodes of Sons of Anarchy. No kidding. It was called Lenny the Pimp. But like in real life, he was actually that dude. But I mentioned Grub earlier. There's just a lot of impressive individuals who, these guys who are old now, older, passed away now, which because of what they did, kept these clubs going and growing for a huge number of years. So, matter of fact, if you got somebody on your mind that you're thinking about, like club-wise, if you're watching, there's a club you want to know about, hit us up and we'll share some more information. If it's proper to share the information. The stuff we're talking about now is the same shit that you could find on Google. We're not going to talk about any extra sensitive club information or anything like that. But
just don't ask us where anybody lives. I ain't giving out phone numbers.
Right, we ain't doing none of that kind of stuff. But yeah, but so Hell's Angels, that was so they were California based, and which is weird because there's a whole culture shift between biking on the West Coast and being a clubber on the East Coast. There's a whole different style to it, and it's really interesting because the Hells Angels sort of set the pace on the West Coast, whereas you got a couple of different influences on the East Coast, and that's even broken down whether you're talking about the North or the South, because there's certain
the middle.
Oh yeah, it's a whole thing. And if you're curious about any of this stuff, I'm going to strongly suggest you go out and start hanging out with your local MC or join a local MC because it ain't a bad thing. It's all right.
Get it where you fit in.
Said, late to the show. Hope all is well with everyone tonight. And Lost One Kerm, hey, thanks for joining us tonight. And yeah, it's some good shit. You can go back and check out the shit we was babbling about a little bit later. So what about so let me see. We touched on what about Thunder Guard? Now I know Thunder Guard started in Baltimore. I want to say Baltimore, and it wasn't DC. I think it was Baltimore. Let's see what they say about Thunder Guard.
Well, no, it was not Baltimore.
No? Was I close?
The only Baltimore I know of is Maryland, and this isn't even the same state.
Really? All right, let's see. All right, wait a minute. What are they saying? Because well, let me see.
It's in that general area.
Okay, well, what does it say?
Wilmington, Delaware.
Okay, yeah, well, okay. Yeah, all right. So Delaware. Yeah, Delaware. That I think you're right. Okay, so Wilmington, Delaware. What did I say? Baltimore? All right. Yeah. Well, I know they got a chapter up that way. Okay. So yep, that's what Chemo's saying. They started in Delaware. All right, I stand corrected. Look, I'm old, fellas. I'm trying to go off the top of my head type shit.
What year?
You should talk about East Bay Dragons since you've mentioned Hells Angels. Okay, yeah. East Bay Dragons. Now look, that was when you're talking about the West Coast, East Bay Dragons, which was there, I want to say they was there before the HAs. East Bay Dragons are considered the epitome of what a proper MC looks like. They've been holding it down forever and ever and ever and ever. They're held in high regard from the black set, the white set, everything. It's a black motorcycle club that was doing their thing 20 minutes after they had motorcycles. You know, I'm being facetious, but yeah. So East Bay Dragons. Let's see. When did East Bay Dragons get started? Matter of fact, Thunder Guards. Let's see what it says here. So it says Thunder Guards was started in 1965. Let's see. So East Bay Dragons. Let's see. When did they start? Who can text faster than me? East Bay Dragons.
1959, Oakland, California.
Okay, there you go. All right, you're faster than me, you young whippersnapper. You. So yeah, East Bay Dragons. Absolutely. So as we're throwing out these different names, and y'all are seeing these different names pop up in the chat, if you get a minute, take a look, see, because you know all of y'all, a lot of the folks watching are from all over the country and different parts of the world. So if you're wondering like what clubs are in your area that you might, and shockingly, you might not know that a certain club is in your area, and they've been there for years. In fact, before the show started, me and damn, I started to say me and you, but me and Tate were actually having this conversation about all the clubs in this area that folks did not know were actually in this area. There's people in one county that didn't know about a whole bunch of other clubs who had been here for decades because they never got outside of their county or their city sometimes, only to find out, oh shit, I didn't even know. Like black clubs. There's a lot of white guys I know that didn't know that black clubs existed. Yeah, it takes one of them until he took a ride one night. We got together and we went to my clubhouse and went to some other places, and like, wow, where the fuck all these people come from? I'm like, when? You mean the last 10, 15 years? They've been here. You know, they ride motorcycles.
Where have you been?
Yeah, you know, but so that's just a good thing. Get out there, ride your motorcycle, and meet some folks. That's what this biker shit is about, you know.
Here's your good one.
And typically it ain't a bad thing to find out. You'd be amazed and pleased with the stuff that you're going to find out from getting out there, riding your motorcycle, and you know, doing biker shit. It's some good biker shit. I love when when Shaggy would come on the show, and he would always do a really great breakdown of some of the differences between his club, which is the Invaders, and some clubs, some black clubs that he would spend time with. And he would go like, hey, like a social club, I never even heard of a social club. We don't have that on the white side. Nope. And he's right. It's not something that, say what?
Support club.
Yeah, there's support clubs, but a social club is not necessarily a support club. But is it or isn't it? You know what I mean? It's like it's not something that that
this side of the fence.
It doesn't exist on the white side.
Here's your one.
Yeah.
How was the East Bay Dragons found? How'd they start?
I think it had something to do with building motorcycles or racing. No? How?
It was a car club.
Oh, okay. A car club. So they swapped the cars for motorcycles?
Their balls drop.
Which reminds me, Chosen Few. So Chosen Few is another one. Chosen Few, to deal with them was, I know a couple of their members were actually bike builders. And there was Benjamin, man, their name just jumped right out of my head. But those bikes that they had in the movie Easy Rider were actually built by two of the guys from Chosen Few who were building these really crazy, you know, just wonderful choppers. And that was sort of like, if you were a black guy in California, you wanted, either you had a chopper or you wanted a chopper. And once the rest of the world found out about these bikes because of that movie, all of a sudden these guys are making these things left, right, and sideways, but they never got any credit for you know, it became, well, that's a cool white guy thing, even though that had been on the black set for 20 years before that movie had been made. But so let me see if I can find it. I think it was Ben Hardy. I think his name was Benjamin Hardy. Let's see, let's go. Easy Rider motorcycle. Easy Rider motorcycle. Google's a motherfucker, ain't it?
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Builder. Let's see here. I know somebody out there is going to be able to get the answer fast. Oh, Ben Hardy. Yeah, Ben Hardy died in 1921. But yeah, he was actually he's the guy. Benjamin F. Hardy was an American custom motorcycle builder who made the Captain America motorcycle and motorcycle and Billy Choppers for the 1969 Peter Fonda road movie called Easy Rider. So he just died in 1994. So that wasn't that long ago. But
the fuck it wasn't. I was 2.
Yeah. Yeah, when you put it that way, I keep forgetting that. I'm gonna carry the 1, divide by 2, do the math. But the thing is, so those guys, they were clubbers. They were clubbers out of California.
Here's your something. Mm-hmm. So apparently there's more than one Sin City. I've always heard the Sin City Disciples.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna bring up Wheels of Soul. I looked them up, and I don't want to mention where it was listed, but this says Sin City Titans.
Yeah, well, okay. So there's Sin City, the Disciples, Sin City Disciples. That's the original club. But I don't know, 15 years ago, let me see, about 2005, I want to say, the advent of sport bikes became really popular. I might be wrong on the year, but as I remember, I'm going off my memory from being on the set. So I became aware of Sin City Titans about 2005 when I knew some guys that joined the Sin City Titans. And the thing was, they couldn't be a disciple because they were riding sport bikes, or if they had a cruiser, it was Japanese cruiser. So Sin City is like my club. You got to be on an American motorcycle, like a motorcycle, not a sport bike. So if you had a sport bike, but you wanted to be down with Sin City, that was sort of like a stepping stone. You could be on your Kawasaki Ninja and still have a patch, but it said Sin City Titans. So, and you couldn't even consider being a Sin City disciple until you got on a Harley or an Indian, or you had to be on an American motorcycle. So that was the thing there. So Sin City Titans that's still a thing.
What do you know about Wings of Soul?
You mean Wheels of Soul?
Wheels of Soul, you're right.
Caveman said you should have had all that Ben Hardy info in your copy of the Easy Rider 50-year book. He's right. He's right. Well, look, man, I'm old. I was around for a lot of shit, so I'm just reminiscing, going down memory lane type shit. Caveman said, "Damn, the cap locks, the cap locks got him." Oh yeah, Cliff Vaughn. Slow Burn Ritual said not as iconic as Cliff Vaughn. Cliff Vaughn was another iconic bike builder. So some of these, and look, these guys came from motorcycle clubs. Cliff was also a member of Chosen Few. Not that they're the only club that had motorcycle builders, but they're pretty iconic. Hell's Angels has a dude that Rusty. What's his name? Rusty Combs, I think it was, or I think it is. He was on Sons of Anarchy at one point. He played in there for one season, played a bad guy or something. But he has a custom bike shop like to this day. He's still big old, looks like he ought to be in the WWF or something, but he actually is a Hell's Angel who builds motorcycles. Go figure, a biker that builds motorcycles. What are the chances?
Well, I mean, and like I've said before, Lou Kimsey was the editor of Easy Rider.
Yeah.
And he started A-Bait.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really interesting how, if you go way back, how did these clubs get started? Guys, So the original
regular guys.
The thing that's consistent, I'm going to go back to your Wheels of Soul question too, but the thing that's consistent about these motorcycle clubs, and we're going to do a whole other show about whether or not you should be in one, why to be in one, what made you get in one. We're going to definitely talk about that in a very soon upcoming show. But this is just to kind of give you a glimpse of, hey, they've been around. There's a lot of clubs. They've been here for decades. I mean, the clubs are older than some of us are. I mean, I'm old as hell, and there's clubs that's been around since well before I was born. And but
that's what he says now. But he was born in 50.
You ain't too far off, but no, the thing is that, so there's all these different clubs that got started for some reason. They're still around now, which means that no matter what the media says, all these clubs aren't all that bad. There's a reason that people gravitate towards the brotherhood, the camaraderie, I've had situations in my life whereas, man, the chips were down and everything was looking pretty bad and da 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 da, and my club came through big time. I mean, and the thing about when you're with a solid club, they don't say, "Oh, dog, I don't got it this week. I'd help you out." But no, the club comes through. If you're in a good club, they come through. You move heaven and earth for your brother, or if it's a woman, for your brothers or your sisters, and it's not the kind of thing that a lot of people, civilians, actually experience. And the reason I say civilians, because the things that are similar about all these different clubs, thing number one, most of these clubs that have been around forever like that have a military connection, as in people get out of the military for whatever reason, and they gravitate toward like-minded people, because in the military, I got your back, you got my back, nothing else matters. Come hell or high water, I got you. I got your six. And that way of thinking, to that level of it, and that level of dedication, is not something that just happens every day.
No.
Like you might have went to military school, or you might have went to high school or even college, or you might have had a job at the plant. But when you leave your job at the plant, you go home and you leave that job behind you. When you're a biker with a real club, just like when you're in the military, just because it's 1600 or 1700 and you get they call freaking liberty, it's time for you to go out in town and go drink and do whatever you want to do. That doesn't mean you stop being a Marine because you're not at the base right now, or Army, whatever. Doesn't mean you stop being a military man because you're out in town. You're still a military man. You still are going to watch out for your brothers, period. So that same ideology carries over very well into the motorcycle clubs. They're even structured very much like the military.
Oh, yeah.
So, and because of that reason, if you have a formula that works, it's going to do just what these clubs did. They were structured and formed after military-minded people that were in the military, and even people who never served a day in their life. They join a motorcycle club, and guess what? They get that same exact feeling of camaraderie. Like we call in the Marine Corps, we say esprit de corps. So they get a big dose of that, and that's some attractive shit. It's some real feel-good type stuff, So that's what that is.
And I'll speak just from being in the community. It's real nice to know that if I call somebody at 2:00 in the morning, they're answering the phone as they're walking to their bike, trying to figure out what the issue is. Just like if they call me at 2 a.m, it's reciprocated.
Yeah.
You always have somebody, even if there's been people I've called just to talk to, have a horrible day at work, call them. They're going to pick up the phone, and if they're not going to pick up the phone, mutual friend of ours, I always get a text back, "I'll call you in 10 minutes."
Right. And that 10 minutes turns into longer. But a lot of times now, if I do this, if I'm on the bike, and I've done this, God knows I've done it a million times. I'll be on the bike. I have the phone, what do you call it? Not posted. It's
on the handlebars, like mine.
It's situated. It's attached to the handlebar. So if a text come in or somebody calls me, I'll hit that. I'm going to call you right back. And then depending on how fast I'm going, I'll text them, "Hey, I'm on the bike. Text me," which is the worst shit in the world. I don't recommend anybody do that. It's a horrible thing. But I get a lot of calls. So
I've gotten that one from you, and I was just like, "Call me when you stop."
Yeah. But because I never know, man, it might be something super important. So if it's something super important and I need to bust a U-turn or something, I want to know about it. But it is a bad habit. But Yeti. Yeti was saying that Facebook is not letting him comment. So if anybody who's watching on Facebook, if you can't comment or you're commenting and you're not showing up, just go over to YouTube. Speaking of which, you should do that anyway. Go over to YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, do all that stuff on YouTube. It helps the algorithm, help the brother out. But yeah, so check it out on YouTube. So subscribe, hit the notification. There's a bell on there. Hit that bell for notifications, so that way, whenever we're doing a new show, it'll pop up. And we've got some new shows that they're going to be coming up pretty soon, where we're going to have some folks from these different clubs, and we're going to be talking about a lot of different stuff. Some of the stuff that we touched on a little bit here tonight, but so definitely check that out. Chemo said that's why a lot of dudes and females that were gang members join MCs too. They miss the brotherhood and the sisterhood. So here's the thing. So there's this one club, and there's this one certain club in New York about, at this point, about 20 years ago. This certain club went, well, as you were, there was a club of, fuck it, I'll say what I mean. So the HAs in New York got dragged up, a bunch of them got dragged up in a police sting, a sweep, where they arrested a bunch of them. And there was a certain gang called, what they call, Modere, the fucking Latin Kings. Latin Kings, I was trying to remember. So Latin Kings, where the black and gold, they got grabbed up too in a completely different sweep that the police were doing in New York. So all these guys in New York, HAs and Latin Kings, get thrown into jail together. And the HAs, they're in jail. That sucks, but they're living pretty good. They got commissary, they got letters coming, they're watching out for each other. So they're in prison, but they're doing a little better than the average bear. A lot of these guys that was from the LKs, they if they didn't have a mama or a girlfriend who was watching out for them, they had to get it how they could get it. And it was different. Their experiences in prison was different. So after 5, 10, and 15 years, because these guys got, they got a little bit of time. So, but as they're getting out, if you've been watching these biker guys live pretty good in prison and watch how they interact with each other for 5, 10, or 15 years, what are you going to want to do when you get out of prison? Well, you want to be like them. So that's what happened. A bunch of these guys were getting out of prison and they wanted to go and get them a damn motorcycle. They wanted to be a part of a motorcycle club like those guys were, because those guys had real brotherhood and they saw it. So they said, hey, I'm not an LK no more. I want to join the Hells Angels. And the Hells Angels said, not with that tan, because y'all are not white enough to be a Hells Angel. But what you can do is you can start your own motorcycle club. So they did. They started a motorcycle club, and they called themselves the Lost Boys. They're still around. They wear the black and gold and the whole thing. And what they did was they patterned themselves after what they knew about the Hells Angels, and they knew a lot about the Hells Angels because they spent so much time with them. I actually met their founder a great number of years ago, who previously, he's a guy who had a great close association with them cats. So that club, they spread out to different parts of the country and the whole thing. But that's how they got started, because they saw the difference between a gang and it's nothing against anybody, but the big difference between gangs and motorcycle clubs is, so first of all, motorcycle clubs are not gangs.
Amen.
So that's the biggest thing. This is it's like a fraternal group of men and women nowadays, of men and women who have a common denominator of, we love motorcycles. We're motorcycle enthusiasts, and we have a structure of a military sort of structure. We love to spend time with each other. We love to have each other's back. We love to get on the open road and travel, the wind in your hair and the bugs in your teeth and all that kind of stuff is what this whole thing's about. Motorcycle clubs own stuff. Like, we own clubhouses and businesses, and our people that are members a lot of times own businesses. Because here's the thing: if you're punching a clock from 9 to 5 when you're in a certain type of club, you can't just, call out from working at Wendy's and say, hey, I'm going to take off for 3 days because I got to go to Sturgis.
Yeah, I got this thing. I'll be back in a week.
Yeah, you can't do that and come back and still have a damn job. It don't work like that. But a lot of us who this is our lifestyle and our culture, guess what? We work for ourselves, or we work in the trades. We're an electrician or a plumber or a mechanic, or we own a business. We can do what the fuck we want to do. And back in the day, your job was the club. You made money with and for the club. So now that's a different level of it. But the thing is that that's a different sort of a thing. That, like with gangs aren't owning stuff. They're not, the gang is not, coming to your kid's violin recital and shit like that. The gang is doing gang shit. Whereas
I would say
families.
I would say, and I have no experience on gang life.
That's not what I heard.
Well, allegedly. But no, honestly, I have no experience on gang life. I've known people that have been in gangs, but as far as me being in a gang, no. However, I would say a motorcycle club is more of an extended family because you can count on your brothers. I would say if you look up the history of, let's just throw out there, the Outlaws and the Hells Angels, and how many turncoats they've had on a serious level, and compare it to the amount of turncoats between the Crips and Bloods put together, I would say the motorcycle community would come out with less. We are very, my brother is my brother. I'll do anything for him. If it means take a bullet, it means take a bullet.
Yeah.
If it means back him when he's completely fucking wrong, that's cool. When we get back to the house, I'm going to correct his ass. Where gangs, I've witnessed, and one of the things I've always asked is, why are you in a gang? Oh, because they got my back. I've witnessed gang members get into a fight and their boys walk away.
Yeah, I've seen that with my own two eyes.
And that's not shit. Those aren't the people I'd want to be around. Not only that, gangs, you never hear. I mean, in recent discovery, there has been a few things with a specific rapper, which I believe he has ties to both sides. But I'm not going to mention any names. He wore blue at one time, and now all he wears is red.
Right.
You know, I gave back to the community. That's cool. You're a gang member, and you gave back to the community once. But then you got motorcycle clubs that, and it's not just 1%ers, it's not just 99ers, it's not just your MROs, your social clubs, your support clubs. It's our community as a whole. We are constantly giving back, whether it be, you know, Jim Bob's mom just had a heart attack and they need help paying the bills, so there's a poker run, or it's St. Jude's that goes on every year. And a lot of people don't realize, in the state of Florida, and I can only speak for the state of Florida, the number one donator to the St. Jude's Foundation for like 10 years running is the Warlocks.
Yeah, okay.
But then we have, mind you, I lived in Chicago for a little bit when I was younger. In Chicago, all the toy runs in that area, at least when I was there, were put on by the Outlaws. But nobody talks about that shit.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, and I think that's a big part of the big differences. Again, I can't say it enough. Motorcycle clubs are not gangs. I know if you want to join a motorcycle club, in most occasions, a club, not an MRO, but with a club, well, there's a process. You have to first know somebody. You gotta, or meet somebody.
Well, hold on. First, owning a motorcycle.
Oh yeah. Well, that's a big one. That's a huge one.
Well,
so
in a real motorcycle club.
Yeah. So you got to own a motorcycle. That's the first one, and you know that goes without saying, which is why I didn't say it. But you got to own a motorcycle, meet some folks or meet somebody, and then hang around, which is exactly what it sounds like. That's an actual real life thing. It's a real expression. Hang around. Like, you got to hang around for a little while. Some folks got to get to know who you are. Other than that's Bob. It needs to be more than just, I think that guy's name is Bob. You know,
that's Bob. He's an electrician. This is what his wife's name is. This
lives
is what
such
he
and
does
such.
on the weekend. Yep.
He was in the military, or he used to work for so and so, but now he works for so and so. He drinks Jack Daniels, but for some reason he always puts cherry Coke in it. You know, or whatever the fuck. You know, it's got to start somewhere. So there's that hang around, and that hang around period can be 3 months. It could be 6 years. It could be whatever. Hang around for a while, and then from hanging around, at some point, somebody. Now you could ask to become a probate or a probie. Some clubs are like, hey, if you ask me, nah. The answer is going to be no. If we ask you, that's different, and that depends on the club. You know. But so you go from being a hang around to being a probate, and that could be 3 months. It could be 3 years. It could be 5 years, because I've seen all of that. But the thing is that then this is all before you become a member of the club. So if you're spending that kind of time one, it suggests a certain amount of dedication because you spent whatever amount of time that was. And two, during that time, I'm damn sure going to find out some stuff about you. I'm going to find out. We're going to say, hey, we're going to such and such. Get on your shit. Let's ride. And you find out a lot about people on the road. There might be a situation that happens, and hey, situations happen. I'm going to find out how you're going to get down when it's time to get down.
Riding style.
Yeah, I'm going to learn how you ride. I'm going to learn how you fight. I'm going to learn how you drink. I'm going to learn how you fuck. I'm going to learn how you do whatever you do. Can you hold your liquor? Can you hold your tongue? Can you throw them hands? Can you, whatever you need to do? I'm going to get a good idea about that before you put that patch on your back. Because before you wear the same shit I wear, I'm going to have a good idea about who you are. With a gang, let's see.
You're from my neighborhood.
You're from my neighborhood. We beat your ass one day, and now you're in the club, or now you join the gang. That's about it. We beat your ass for 30 seconds, and and you didn't cry too much, so now you're a member of the gang.
Oh, by the way, you're locked up, so your old lady is mine until you get out.
Yeah, exactly. So that's some different shit. It's like, God forbid something happens in an MC, some bad shit happens to you, God forbid. Oh, your family, we're going to hold them down. We're going to watch out. Your son is like my son. That's my nephew. Your freaking brother is my brother. Your old lady is my sister. Hands off. That's the way this shit's supposed to go. In a gang, he's going to be gone for the next 3 years. So you might as well get with me,
Exactly.
Might as well. So it's a different ideology. But, so even though we started off talking about the biggest, the baddest, the oldest MCs, now we're talking about gangs and who's fucking who. But, that's some weird shit that happens on the Big BoneYard.
Well,
but so we're hoping that this show whet your appetite a little bit for some of the stuff that's going to be coming, which is we're going to have some really cool people on here from some different clubs and different backgrounds about this MC shit, so we can kind of chop it up a little bit about that stuff. But in the meantime, so if you were watching, you had some issues on Facebook or Instagram or something like that, jump over to YouTube and watch from there, subscribe from there. Definitely, we want you to subscribe. So definitely subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell for notifications and all that kind of good shit. But other than that, so we've been at it for about 1 hour and 9 minutes, just kind of chopping it up on a few things here and there. But y'all keep watching. Again, we've got some really cool stuff that's coming up down the line, and I want you to be a part of it. And so definitely keep watching, keep calling us. Tate, what, if anything, you got to say to these folks before we leave?
Well, if you're in the state of Florida, look up your local ABATE, because our bill is fixing to go to its second reading in front of the House floor. Its first reading in front of the Senate floor. So here soon, it may be written into law that you get stiffer penalties if you hit us on the road.
Oh, yeah, so quit hitting us while we're riding our motorcycles, minding our own damn business.
Yeah.
And also, if you get a minute, whether you do it now or whether you do it later, check this thing out. But give me a holler. I'm real curious. People keep asking me, where are these people? And I can go into the algorithms or, like the office stuff for the show and see where some of the folks are from. But I'd love for folks to know where everybody is from. So if you get a minute, go to the comments and just say what state you're from. Give us a shout. Let us know what's going on. But in the meantime, I'm Big Bone 1%er, and this is Tate from ABATE. I enjoyed y'all. Thank y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. Thank y'all for coming out, hanging out with us and riding with us a little something. We're going to do this again in about 7 days, man. But in the meantime, y'all have a great rest of your week, and peace. We're out.
Welcome to the Big BoneYard. Enter at your own risk.
to pursue a career in law because it gives me an opportunity to help people. When a client chooses us to represent them, they're entrusting us with a huge responsibility. It's our goal to exceed their expectations with our personalized service and to help them to achieve the best possible recovery to compensate them for their injuries.
That's where we come in. We come in and we solve that problem for them and really set them on the right track in order to try and get back to what their life was like before the accident happened.